Before we do the Morrow County Commission order, we will start with the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag, of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next up is our public comment time. This gives time for the public to make comments to the Board of Commissioners. Is there, yes, I'll go through the rules real quick. So, it's a 3-minute time limit. This is not a opportunity for, there isn't give and take between the commission or the staff. It's just a time for the public to make the comments, the concerns or whatever to the Board of Commissioners. So, and please state your name, and if you're representing an organization, do that too. Okay.
Yes, public comment is first. Good morning, commissioners. My name is Cheryl Tallman. I'm from Boardman. I have lived there for a long time. And my husband is usually the politician, but he's not here. So we're dealing with some things that I want to present to you. I'm the owner of the Farmer's Cup Coffee Shop, and we've been in existence since March 1st, 2019. I'm writing because I have been informed by my landlord that the county wants to block access to a road easement based on the county's opinion that it does not meet commercial standards. My landlord has asked the county to identify the specific statutes, code provisions, and standards it is relying on. In response, I have driven around the county and have taken photos of other commercial access roads because I want to understand why our property is being treated differently. This property has had a commercial business operating on it for more than 7 years, and another commercial tenant has been there for more than 20 years. Nothing material has changed about the longstanding commercial nature of this property. What has changed is the pressure now being placed on our land and our business. The county planner has stated that the county works with the city of Boardman under a joint management agreement. If that is the case, then from my perspective, this increasingly looks like a coordinated effort between the county and the city rather than an isolated access concern. When the city and county are both involved in planning, access, and development decisions affecting the same property, it is difficult not to view these new restrictions as part of a broader coordinated attempt impacting our land and our livelihood. My landlord has assured me that he is willing to negotiate in good faith under Oregon ORS 35 laws, and this month I'm extending that same gesture. We are not refusing to work with anyone. We are asking for fairness, transparency, and direct communication. With all the growth happening in this area, the situation should not be left unresolved. All it takes is for the entities involved to come to the table, identify the actual standards being applied, and negotiate in good faith to get this taken care of. Instead, our property and our business continue to hang in the balance. I respectfully ask the county to clearly identify the legal and engineering basis for its position, explain why this long-standing commercial access is suddenly being challenged now, and work toward a fair and transparent resolution before further damage is done. And I submit this sincerely, respectfully, Cheryl Tallman, owner of the Farmer's Cup. I made it.
Thank you.
Do I give this to?
You can give it, but also on the back page of the agenda is our emails. If you could email that to me.
Your what?
Our email addresses on the last page of the agenda. Do you have that?
You can have my copy. Here, there's a copy right here. I'll give her that one. I think you mean the second page, right?
Oh, it's so we wanted, yeah.
Also, I think you can give that copy to Valerie, and then I think Sheriff's like mentioning if you wanted to email him that. You can also email the commissioners, I guess that.
This what I said today.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can take that.
No, so-
I'll give this to you. Thank you.
Or
Thank you.
If I could have a little discretion just to address the comments, just for.
Okay, okay.
And the parcel that Farmers Cup on has a temporary access permit that is ongoing until the loop road is permitted for the Boardman's designed to
Does she need to hear that?
build. Oh, yeah, so the Farmers Cup parcel has a ongoing temporary access permit that's ongoing. That's off of the north side of the parcel that is allowable until Boardman completes that loop road. And so for the Farmers Cup, there is commercial access that's totally legally permitted. The question that there is on the south parcel for the truck parking. So it's not directly impacting the use of your parcel is the question at hand. So.
All right, any other comments from the room? Yes, sir.
My name is Tim Rust. I live on Butter Creek. And we use the Butter Creek Highway to get like livestock and things to Grant County and some of my other neighbors, which wimped out on me. But it's the highway is getting pretty bad as far as potholes. And now with the B2H traffic, it's not making it any better. The other day I was taking my RV up and I just pulled off because there was like 3 pickups and 2 semis coming down. So I didn't know if like the county had procured a agreement with B2H to kind of work on like they did with Wheat Ridge to kind of fix roads after they were done. But something's, it's getting pretty bad. There's one corner like at milepost 5, which is 5 miles from 207, that you don't want to drive through it. So you go over into the other lane. And so it's not terrible safe and it's right on a corner. There are other places. That's definitely the worst one. I took a picture of it. But just kind of was curious if there was anything in the working with the B2H people, construction guys, to help with road improvements.
Likewise, if you could email your concerns to us, then we'll look into it, I think.
Okay, there's probably normal repair done to it at times, I would think, but it's hasn't had any attention lately. Okay, I'll take the email.
Okay, any other comments from the room?
No.
Okay. Is there anybody on Zoom that has a comment? Please raise your hand. All right, next up would be 3, consideration and adoption of the agenda. Any motion for that?
Chair, I am asking to remove one item on the business items. It is 6B, out of cycle position requests. So we could have that removed, please.
I have a question. It's on items in the consent agenda. In the packet, there was something about the contract for the rock crushing. But I don't know if I'm missing it or if it's not there.
The rock crushing and crack sealing were actually taken care of in the last meeting, but the authorization
combined there. I
Yeah.
see.
So the authorization, it said approve the contract, but didn't say who to sign it. And so we just need to take care of that action.
Okay, I see that they're combined now. I saw crack sealing and didn't read the last one.
Okay.
With that, I move to accept the agenda as presented, removing 6B.
Second.
Moved and seconded for the discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Okay, next up, we'll start with our department reports, Justice Court quarterly report. Don't see Glenn here, so. Juvenile department, Christie, don't see Christie here either. Oh, Christie, are you in line?
She was on her way to some training today, and so she asked just to submit the written report today.
Yep.
I saw her this morning on the way out. Okay. The sheriff, Brian.
Appreciate the promotion, but I'll just stay undershirt. Feel like that's gonna cause me some heat, so. Good morning, commissioners. Not a whole lot to report, today. Things are going well at the sheriff's office. We have the one opening in patrol, which we are currently in backgrounds, with a lateral. And so, he's a lateral, so, he'd be a great pickup if that all works out. We have the one opening in communications as well, and we are holding interviews on the 24th of this month for that position. So hopefully we'll be fully staffed soon. Things are going well. We've had a couple this last weekend. We had 2 search and rescue missions up in the mountains. They were both successful. We had a couple that got lost, went on a hike and then got turned around up there and got lost, and we were able to find them fairly quickly. The other one was lack of experience in the mountains and needed help getting out. And then we've also had one rescue out on the river this year as well so far. We had a training, got our new rifles, or took possession of our new rifles, patrol rifles, got to take them out. We have almost all of them issued out except for 3, and that's due to just scheduling. But they have been a great addition to our staff for tools. And that's about it, unless you guys got questions.
Any questions?
No,
No,
thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you. Under sheriff. I'm correct the record. Okay, next up is Steven.
Good morning, Stephen Davis, Transit Manager. Another good quarter to report. I want to start at the chart at the bottom. Significant growth. A lot of that has to do with ongoing engagement with the community, but really for 2 months, we have an after-school Boardman Parks basketball program we were supporting just on our public transit, where they were catching the bus at the school and we were taking them to the rec center. So that really helped our numbers for the quarter. So we're averaging about 1,300 riders a day. I mean, a month, not a day. That'd be insane. But a month, which is tremendous considering 15 months ago it was 15 a quarter. So still liking to see those numbers. Commissioner Winsholz was at our TAC meeting on Monday. The STIF discretionary funds are open. We've submitted an application for a vehicle procurement to help with that vehicle replacement cycle that the county is also helping us with, to break all of our buses off from being due at the same time. Additionally, next meeting I'll be bringing forward a proposal for funds to create a new route off of the discretionary funds, but I won't get much into it now. But there'll be a proposal for hopefully adding some additional service. I'll be speaking at a panel at the League of Oregon Cities on the 24th. Tamara and her team did a great job prior to me being here about working with, what is it, Eastern Oregon University? Mm-hmm. About public engagement and civic responsibilities. And they got a wind of our growth in transit ridership and wanted me to sit on their panel to talk about how that project, which I wasn't here for, but how it impacted public transit and how we used that data to help increase service. So that'll be fun. Want to give a big shout out to the Port of Morrow, the Morrow County, and the City of Boardman, who all played a big part in getting a designated bus lane and shelter installed on Main Street project in Boardman. So that's pretty incredible to have a designated location there. They didn't want us to stop on Main Street just because of congestion. And so when they redid that, they prioritized putting a bus pull out for us. The Port of Morrow donated the shelter, and then the city of Boardman paid for the concrete slab. And our facilities team transported the shelter and installed it. So it was a great coordinated effort to get that installed. Vince reached out to me a couple of weeks ago and shared that Amazon's Eastern Oregon Community Fund was looking for projects still. So we submitted 3 projects, 2 that are about $50,000 asks and 1 that's a $25,000 ask. So we're waiting to see if they're willing to fund any of those projects. Starting Monday, we'll be fully staffed. We've been down 1 full-time driver for almost 4 months. So Patrick and I and Maritza in dispatch have been filling that position. But that and a part-timer will both be starting on Monday. So we'll be back in the office actually doing our primary jobs. And then on the 19th, we had a great, the first ever, I'm told, Morrow County Public Transit all-staff training where we brought a outside vendor in to, through an ODOT contract, so it was no money to us, to work on passenger assistance, wheelchair securements, onboard technology, and then we reviewed all of our policies and procedures just to make sure everybody's on the same page and putting safety first. Other than that, any other questions?
Any questions, Steve?
Well, I was going to ask if you had any plans for additional routes, given the numbers, but it sounds like you do, so
Well, fingers crossed.
fingers
So,
crossed.
Yep, and if you notice, the charts are moving from left to right.
I did notice that, and that was helpful for me in reading that. Thank you.
So absolutely. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, thank you. Central Planning Department.
I don't want the hot seat.
What?
I know, that's the hot seat, so,
Oh.
okay, thank you. Good morning, commissioners. For the record, Tamara Mabbott, Planning Director. Continue to have busy times in the planning department. I start just the order of our format for the monthly update newsletter. We talk about energy projects, which is consuming a lot of our time. It's no news that a large project, the Well Springs project, formally withdrew their application at the Energy Facility Siting Council. And because of HB 4031 has chosen to permit the 750 megawatt project at the county level. 750 megawatts of solar and 500 megawatts of battery on 7,000 or so acres. We had a pre-application meeting on Monday. I'm trying to clear my plate, and I'm able to do more of that with our new principal planner, George Kress, so I can process that. We expect their application late June, and with a target of finishing it, running through our processes by the end of the year, if not sooner. There's a large volume of reports to review as part of that. So Matt and I and Kevin may come to you with some ideas for outsourcing the review of some of those. Otherwise, we're handling it in-house. And I've said for many years, we can review those energy projects at the local level, even the big ones. And so now I got to put my mouth where my previous comments were. Those projects and others are on Stephen's story map on the website. He's also updated the that interactive energy map. Myself and George and Clint are participating in the NACO Rural Energy Academy. I wasn't sure I needed that because I have so many years experience, but I'm learning a lot. It's very valuable, an hour and a half once a week. And then a couple of times as a county team, also along with Valerie, who's on the academy. Sorry about that. I was just focusing on my planning group. We meet and kind of cuss and discuss things we've learned. And I think all of us are learning. So there's no cost except the time. And I do think it's valuable. Before you later today is the second ordinance reading to adopt the Heritage Trail Concept Plan, along with an update to our comprehensive plan. That's a long time in the making. Stevens contributed to the update here and now has on the live Survey Explorer all the surveys that have been filed in Morrow County. That's a huge undertaking he did together with Matt Kenny. Maybe the next monthly update will have Steven zoom in. He can show you what that looks like, but it's kind of an understated anticlimactic effort, but it's really valuable. We have people call regularly, as does the clerk's office, the assessor's office, wanting to look for surveys, and now you can find them on the website, which is, saves time and effort, etc. So hats off to Stephen and Matt for getting that done. Stephen also, on page 3, showed you a small picture of really an internal map that we will use that has transmission lines, substations, and other energy projects in one location. And all the information on here, it has come from public platforms. We recognize that transmission and a lot of energy projects have a significant security risk. So that's not something that we are advocating, but it's very useful for us to be able to look at multitude of transmission and substation projects, which is another action item for you later in the agenda today. Caitlin included a code compliance monthly update. She spent 2 days last week going to the Code Enforcement Association conference down in on the west side. It's always valuable for her. Work continues on a lot of fronts related to water. The roadmap project, as you know, you approved the 4th and final phase of that project. We have a public outreach meeting scheduled on April 22nd from 6 to 7:30 at Umatilla City Hall. We've alternated those, Morrow County to Umatilla County. It's another opportunity for the public to get information. So Ronan and Isaac Estrada will be doing a presentation. We'll have Michaela there and another if we need to for bilingual translation. That project website is available, and GSI Water Solutions and their subcontracts keep that moving forward. Bob Walter from Umatilla County and I have been asked by DEQ staff to help with a tour on May 14th when the Environmental Quality Commission is meeting in Boardman for 2 days, May 14th and 15th. I'm not sure how we pack in a tour in an hour and a half. I think that's pretty challenging, but they want to see a variety of things related to water, and it's very difficult to showcase groundwater with a bus tour. So we're working on that. More to be continued on that. Continue to stay involved with the Love Guama Committee. I'm the alternate to Commissioner Peterson on that. We met last week. It was last week. In Hermiston, it's much different than it was even a few years ago, primarily state agency led, but important that we stay involved. I'll jump down to transportation planning. As you know, we had a joint work session with the board and the planning commission on the Tower Road interchange area management plan. We have that scheduled for the first hearing in front of planning commission later this month. And then what else? We're still waiting for a contract with ODOT to start the transportation system plan update. And let's see, Stephen and I are working with Steve Freeland on the community wildfire protection plan, which Stephen's going to be the lead from the planning department. My job is really to look for funds with Kevin, and Kevin's already identified some. It's pretty important that we update that wildfire protection plan in conjunction with the fire districts and emergency management. Let's see. I've had a couple of meetings with folks who are interested in data centers. One was one-on-one, another was a few weeks ago with Commissioner Sykes and Matt Jensen, County Administrator. I also was invited by the co-chairs of the Governor's Committee on Data Centers to talk about land use issues in data centers, and that will be on April 24th. I think we have a really good story to share. We've also had some challenges, but my job is to just share the facts, like how has it worked in Morrow County? And so Clint is helping me with some slides, and Steven's helped with an interactive map that I can show. I also, part of my message is just so this is what the permitting process looks like, because the committee people are not, they're not land use planners. So it will be a message on how it works at the local level. And then also somebody from Department of Land Conservation and Development will do more of a land use planning in Oregon 101. The message I share, which is a nice message to share, I think, is that to date, the data centers have been sited in industrial zones. Not without some challenges for sure. And that one creative solution that was completely market driven were the 2 rezones that the county approved without the state objecting to that. So I think that's positive. I'm not sure we need any new state rules on data centers, but the data center committee will be making a formal report to the governor's office in October. So their meetings will go through September and end in October. If the state does want more of a role in that, again, my message is market-driven solutions seem to really work well in Morrow County. But the model for destination resort planning worked well in Deschutes County. When in the 90s and early 2000s, they had a large onslaught of destination resorts. So the state developed an administrative rule that gave a local government tools to master plan where those destination resorts might be located. And the concept, at least, is another tool that data center committee could look at. Again, I probably wouldn't, as a professional, advocate for additional administrative rules. I like our market-driven solution, but it is something for them to take a look at, and a tool to look at cumulative impacts of things like data centers, along with possibly some guidance in our comprehensive plan. Yeah, I think that's talking enough. So happy to answer questions.
About the data center committee, that's Dan Doran is on that one.
He is, yes.
Can you tell me, and you might have said this, or is that an ongoing, or are they wrapping up a report, or how's that?
Right. It's a 6-month committee. They'll finish their meetings in September and have a report to the governor in October.
And then the committee will be disbanded.
That's my understanding. And I do, Dan Doran spoke to the County Planning Directors Association. Bob Walder and I hosted them in Eastern Oregon last week on Thursday and Friday. Thursday, we did the tour. Thank you very much to our Loop counterparts. We had 2 buses full of county planners and some ex-planning directors and a few other staff. We did a tour just showcasing, just driving around the port, and then we drove down Bombing Range Road and showcased what farm ground, transmission lines, a solar array, wind turbines, and we did the loop and did the same over in Umatilla County. And then Friday, the whole theme of our monthly meeting was renewable energy, transmission lines, and data centers. So Dan Doran did speak and give a really good report on that. You can just Google Oregon Governor Committee on Data Centers, and you can listen in to the meetings. I listened to the water session, which Chair Sykes, I think you would really appreciate as well. I only got through half of it. And the initial meeting also is very informative. So I need to go back and listen to that before I present on the 24th.
The facilitator has a summary, and the summary is tens of pages long. So it's a very thorough summary. But,
of each of the sessions?
Of each session. I prefer reading, so that was what I did. And yeah, if you go to the governor's website, you can find those. And
excellent.
It's helpful to get through all that information.
Perfect. I'll look for that as well.
Any other questions, Tana?
You think you guys do enough?
Do we do enough? I think our plate is full. We are still trying to carve out an opportunity to work on our long-range plans because we're really busy with current planning. And the transportation system plan and the interchange area management plan is considered long-range planning. But that big behemoth of a document where I'm coming up with some creative solutions to piecemeal that in the next few years to update. We do. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, next up is our treasurer's monthly report. Aileen, that's just a written report. Well, she's on, usually she's just a written. Okay. Accounts payable monthly report, same there, unless Kevin has something else to say. No. And next up is our county.
Board, Matt Jensen, County Administrator for the record, presented a written report. Just wanted to kind of highlight a couple of the items. Circuit Court project proceeds as planned. We're running along. Did start attaching their monthly report that they send with pictures and the updated schedule. Hopefully that'll be informational for you and just so you can keep track of it as well. Boughton's doing a really good job interacting with neighbors, making sure things are taken care of. I met with Boughton and them just to resolve one minor issue of some access for one of the neighbors on Tuesday morning, and it was worked out great. They're being a great partner for us on this project, and we are on track and set for items. I do want to not mention in my report, I do want to reach out to the fair and the rodeo board and pull a meeting with Boughton and with them to make sure we can start coordinating now for the activities this summer. So so we don't have any surprises in August. So we'll be working on that. HR coordination, just to let you know, we've been working through those. Mindy and Judith have been great. We do have postings up for the HR director. We've had initial interviews with 3 individuals that seem to be qualified, and we'll have a initial full interview this next week with a small group of our department heads and that I'll be pulling together and allowing us to do it. One thing to note, just to let you know, Judith Santiago, our assistant HR rep, she's moving on. Her husband got a job in Portland and they'll be relocating. So we lose her, and she's been a great asset to the HR department. So so we're running a little lean, but we've already got that posted and already have some what looks like some qualified candidates for her, but she has been exceptional.
Yeah.
So
That's wish her the best.
yes, one of those things good people, you hope for good things. Unfortunately, it's taken her away from us. So, but she's been great. Union interactions, we're dealing with the Teamsters, working with them, just finalizing a few items with the Sergeants Association. And I'm meeting with the AFSCME representative today, just on a few, a very friendly meeting, just to review some policy items that have come up that they've got some suggestions on, and I think it'll actually be a beneficial conversation for our groups. Fair grant projects, we were able to get most of those projects taken care of. The fiber broadband is in, the low voltage is in, the fans are in. These have all been submitted to Business Oregon for reimbursement. We did leave a little bit on the table as we weren't able to use all the funds, but overall we've did good additions to the fairgrounds, and we're hoping to get that reimbursement fairly soon. So that's kind of overall. I did take a couple days off, and so that's one reason why it's a little bit succinct, but if there's any questions, happy to fill those.
Were they a good couple days off?
We were doing baseboards for my daughter down in Utah, and I've done that many times, but the legs start saying I'm a little bit older this time. So yeah.
Well, I know the circuit court building is moving right along because there's a lot of sidewalk superintendents.
You get a lot of calls on that?
They've been asking me some technical questions.
So are you becoming more informed?
I'm getting more informed, and they're telling me, hey, I saw they're setting up those forms like this. So, they used to do it. Yeah.
So
So anyway, no, it's That's great.
So hopefully this monthly report will be an asset to you. And, you know, hopefully that'll be an information item.
It is. I'm glad you do that.
Yeah.
Any idea on when we may have our data center community talk?
So we are planning, because I was off and a few other conflicts. We will be bringing in, having a work session to talk with the board commissioners on May 6th. Kind of review kind of the ground floor on how we want to go with that. I do want to kind of have some structure and to take care of. With that, we also met with, Tamara and I met with DLCD representatives earlier this week, discuss, you know, what their options are, and we're going to be following up with them just as far as resources and directions, what's allowable. And had a really, they were, one of the things they told us is data centers and other industrial item activities generally happen in UGB areas across the rest of the state. We're kind of an anomaly where it's happening outside of those areas. And so they're kind of anxious and excited to see and work with us to say, how can we make it work for Morrow County? Because it's outside the UGBs. And that's pretty much predominantly because the Port of Morrow is in a particular position to be able to provide water and sewer to areas outside of the UGB. And so as we look at that, they're very interested. We're looking at finalizing a facilitator for the bigger meeting on that. And we're excited to have a kind of a list of things to bring to the BOC before we pull in stakeholders. I know we've already started talking to people, a couple port contacts, some of the industries there as well, and the city of Boardman's involved. We want to include other cities and of course Amazon and others that might be impacted by this discussion. So Chair Sykes been a big cheerleader, for a lack of a better word, of saying, let's get this done. And so we're hoping to have it latter part of May, sometime in May, but we'll have that meeting with you on the 6th to finalize approach and such.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions about? Okay, next up will be our consent agenda. Do you guys want to pull anything out of that?
I'd like to pull out to discuss E, F, and G.
Yep.
Good. Well,
Motion to approve consent agenda, pulling items E, F, and G for discussion.
E, F, and G or just F and G?
E, F, and G.
Okay.
Say that really.
I'll second that.
Leave the second and further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carried. Okay,
So the first one
start with the,
will be the crack ceiling, and it's probably really a question for Eric. In here on the timeline, it says it'll start April 15th this month, today, and ends April 30th, 2026. So they'll be able to get the work done in that time period?
Yeah, there's not that much to do.
Okay, I just
And it,
wanted to make sure that that wasn't a typo or something, just.
it is not a typo and they're gonna have no problem getting that done. And the timeline really was make sure we get it down for 2 months before we start chip sealing. That's why we made such a short timeline.
Okay,
It can be challenging chip sealing over crack seal at times. So want to make sure get it done as
I
fast.
just wanted to make sure that there was enough time for the work to get done for the
Yeah.
contract.
No problem.
Okay, so then the next items, it's gonna be items E, F, and G, pretty much the same thing. Is that on section 5.3, so it'd be like page 121 of your packet. And it talks about the billing shall be organized by vehicle or price or equipment describing with particularity all work. When we're talking about crack sealing and rock crushing, I'm wondering why we have vehicle and stuff in there. Now, if we go to page 134, which is the rock crushing contract, the wording is different. It says the billing shall describe with particularity all work performed, by whom it was performed, and shall itemize and explain all expenses for which reimbursement is claimed, and that this contract requires the county to pay, which I just think is better wording for a bunch of these.
Which, as far as we can see, yeah, I just want to make sure I know which one, yeah. Yeah, that one makes sense, and then,
So on, what's the number? Is it 5.2, 5.3?
5.3.
5.3, thank you.
Yeah, so I see the 5.3 on. And these are,
So you're saying you liked that language?
The one for the rock crusher, where it's like on the crack ceiling, that talks about billing per vehicle and different things, which I think that the standardized is the one for the rock crusher is more kind of a standardized language that we should probably consider using going forward.
Okay.
And that's on page 121 of this.
So are you prepared to make a motion on that?
Yeah, so then the next item that I came up with, because that is on page 163. And I'm sure that they would have it, but if they're presenting it to us, and it's page 163, 17.0 and then 17.1. On all the other contracts, you know, what was presented to us has filled out the name, the address. And this one doesn't. That if, again, if we're signing off on the contract, it should probably be complete.
Just in terms of where it says Morrow County and it doesn't have our address, so.
No, this is the contractor data and certification. Usually we
Seven.
fill that out for.
And it's not filled out.
Federal tax ID number and that. Um. May I offer a couple options?
Yes.
First of all, we could, if the, as far as the crack sealing and such, I don't know if it changes the contract with this, at this point for this delivery on items. But I would be happy to, work with Sandy and Kevin to make sure that we get that more general language on future contracts where this is only like a 2-week contract. If we could proceed with that and get that taken care of, and so approve that there, standardize on that other language for future ones. As far as for the on-call engineering one here, we could change the motion to if the rest of the contract is acceptable, we could change it to authorize execution of it with the chair's signature, and we have them sign and fill that out before he signs it.
Okay, so then it's on the on-call engineering services, you know, 5.3. Again, talks about billings based off of vehicle and stuff.
We can adjust that before we send it to them.
See,
I do have an updated contract from the engineers on that. And Valerie has that. It's actually from the engineers. So if Justin can kind of skim it over, I think that'd be a better route to go that way, authorize chair to sign. That I just used as a placeholder just to get it in there.
Sure. This is a totally different one.
Kevin has a comment.
I have a question. So is there a sense of urgency to get the engineering one done?
Matt was just wanting me to put it in the,
I think if there's a separate contract that the engineers provide, maybe we should just bring that back on a separate that fall
So-
meeting.
We could table that one, and if we can approve the other ones as are, and then we'll work on standardized language for that, for that aspect. That would work for you.
So I guess we'll do the first one, item E. I'll move for approval. Item E.
I second.
Second. For the discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carried.
So then for item F, I guess we're gonna table that one because we'll wait for the new contract to come back and forth. So then,
So we should make that a motion.
okay, we need to make that a motion.
We should.
It would be good.
Yeah. So, hold on. This
Make
is
that
a lot of stuff to scroll through. Okay. Just trying to find it. Okay, I move to table the on-call engineering and surveying services agreement with Keller Associates until our next scheduled meeting.
Second.
Move in second, does that work for you, Matt?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, move in second, all in favor?
I
Aye. All opposed, same sign, motion carried.
And, you know, I guess really my main point on calling out for the liquid asphalt emulsion was again 5.3, the buildings and stuff. As long as Justin's okay with us moving forward with language as is.
With the,
This is the 5.3. Yeah.
So this is for
Yeah, I just wanted to see the.
better.
Sorry, that's what I rolled up. I just wanted to see. Because the timelines and everything else, I think we're okay going forward. But with the, I do agree with.
We're moving
Forward
forward.
the other 5.3 language generally.
Okay. So I'll move for approval. Item G, the contract for application of liquid asphalt emulsion. The line.
Move in second,
second.
move in second, after the discussion. All in favor, say aye.
I
Aye, all opposed, same sign, motion carried. Okay. Items.
That took care of it.
We're on to business.
Okay. Okay. So, master plan, Parks master plan, grant agreement, great.
Good morning.
This is for the county opportunity grant program to update our master plan and have it done professionally. The master plan will assess facilities, identify needs and guide for future improvements for all of our parks. This needs to be done. Our program now is, our master plan right now is expired, based pretty much out of, it needs to be done professionally. We'll be working with Vince and Tamara and having this all updated so that we can expand our parks and where they need to be and being in compliance with all the ways we would like to go.
So do we have this grant already? I'm a little confused.
So this is the one that we applied for
Okay.
and we brought to the BOC for just a thumbs up to apply for. We've received it. So this is the agreement to put it into place.
Awesome.
This would be committing it to, so for budget considerations and that. And so this is a great thing. When was the last time our Parks Master Plan had been?
It's been
A couple decades.
10 years or
Yeah.
better.
And so this is an exciting thing where it covers 75% of the cost. While you're authorizing me to sign this, just to let you know, one change on this, on page 191 of the packet, we'll be updating the grant administered and the grantee billing contact to reflect the department head and Kevin Ince as the billing contract on that. So very minor slight change, but doesn't impact the rest of the grant.
So do we need to make that change in our motion?
No.
Okay. Well, I think it's great. I move to approve the Oregon Parks and Recreation County Opportunity Grant Program Agreement and authorize the county administrator to sign on behalf of the county.
Moved and seconded. Further discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign, motion carried. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys. I'm sure your plan was almost as good as a professional plan.
If you could read it.
I think it's important that we have it because that
Oh,
opens
absolutely.
you up to availability for grants.
Yes.
Without that, you don't get the grants.
100%, yes.
Okay, I see it is written on.
Thanks, Craig.
Recognize Charlotte included for the service on the county planning commission, Tamara.
Oh, already again. Okay. Now, would you be able to pull up the map on the?
Should be able to.
Thank you.
From the packet or from?
From the packet would be great.
Okay.
Yes, please. Oh, I didn't.
Get to that.
So the issue before the board, I didn't open that. Okay, I'll pay that agenda item. Are we on that? Oh, sorry, we're on the wrong item. Okay, yes, what is in front of you is to recognize Charlene Cooley for her service on the planning commission. It was a shorter tenure than others, but I like to elevate those to the board level to formally give her a thank you. We give her a card and some cookies, I think, at our last meeting, but she's really been a terrific planning commission member, but like lots of people who were involved, she needed to cut something and we got the short straw, but said she might come back. I invited Charlene. She just works down the street and she said she couldn't get away, but said it was an honor and thank you for having her serve on the planning commission. So I think, is there an action item there? I didn't copy that, just to sign. Okay.
It wasn't really an action item, it was just more the appreciation, public meeting looked like aspect of the service and if commissioners want to say anything.
Okay, perfect. That was the fun.
Well, I will say thank you to Charlene and thank you to everybody who serves on the planning commission. It's a lot of work for not a lot of praise.
Yeah, for sure.
I will second that. Having been there, it's sometimes a thankless job with no recognition, so.
That's right.
Anybody who puts the time in, it's my sincere thanks.
Terrific. Thank you for that. Okay, now the map. We know where Charlene
This is
is.
the Pacific Core.
Yes, it is. Thank you. So while Matt is pulling.
That's right, that's food at times. We want those work sessions starting at 6 instead of 7, get food.
Yeah, so while Matt is pulling up a map, what the action item in front of the board today is in response to a letter that an attorney for Pacific Car, Jocelyn Pease, who is here today, so can answer questions. I thought I would just frame up the issue right now. Ms. Pease has asked the county to decide whether or not the county would like to call upon the Oregon Department of Energy to appoint a committee to help with some technical issues related to this project. And the red line that you see on the map is a 31.8 mile long 500 kV transmission line connecting the Maverick substation, which has been permitted by the planning department, and the Apex substation. It's would otherwise be a project in front of the siting council, but it is within a single jurisdiction, Morrow County. But because of that, Jocelyn and some other folks from Department of Energy identified a sort of obscure statute, ORS 469-442, which I think I included in your packet, that identifies a procedure for construction of transmission lines in excess of 230,000 volts. And that also requires that the applicant, and in this case, Pacific Core, give public notice of the proposed action at least 6 months before beginning any process to obtain local permits required for the transmission line, give some details about when that needs to be published. I've met a couple of times with Pacific Core about that. They will be hosting those meetings, so 6 months before they file their local land use permit. And there will be opportunity for public involvement. This statute also says that the director of the State Department of Energy shall establish a committee to include technical experts and members of the public to coordinate public review of a proposed transmission line under this subsection when requested to do so by ordinance or resolution of the affected governing body, which is the Board of Commissioners. So we had a phone call with Department of Energy Monday, and they said, we don't really even know what to do. It's been unprecedented. Okay. And that was the secretary of the Energy Facility Siting Council. We pressed on the issue a little bit, and what I think might be an option for the board is to send a letter to Janine Venner, who's the director of the Oregon Department of Energy, and ask if she could provide some technical expertise. They have staffing who look at transmission lines. So during the public involvement process or prior to that, the county could use that resource, if you will, either in the public involvement process or during the review of the application. Matt, do you want to say anything else about that discussion?
I think you covered most of it. It's this is a major line going across the area. We have other projects that it impacts, and you know, having Department of Energy be involved in this could be beneficial, particularly for handling the public outreach requirements.
Any questions, Skylar?
So just to clarify, they would be providing assistance. They wouldn't have any say on the outcome of the project. They would just be helping with setting up the process, just to be clear.
So the pre-application process, this is the obligation of the applicant, not the county. The applicant offered to make the county a co-host, and I'd be reluctant to be a co-host, particularly where it's 31.8 miles of transmission line where they have about 30% landowner consent. So some technical support would allow staff and electeds a resource if we have technical questions. So for example, Commissioner Peterson and I met with the local co-ops last week. The alignment of this transmission line might not be ideal for future transmission lines. So Columbia Basin Electric Co-op, for example, might not be able to build another north-south line once this line of 500 kV. You can't go over and under a 500 kV line. They would have to go to Bombing Range, which is already pretty crowded on both sides of Bombing Range. So maybe that technical committee that the state might be able to help us with would be a technical tool for county staff and possibly a commissioner. You might want to think about appointing a commissioner kind of lead on this discussion to work myself and Matt to look at the specific alignment. I'm not an electrical engineer and not I mean, it's a complicated business.
Yeah. Well, I favor option one.
This would be I mean, I think that if the county needs technical expertise, we can engage that during the land use decision part of it. I don't see how having the Department of Energy do the outreach is going to help us in that aspect of it. If we need to engage expertise when you're permitting the line, that would be the time the county would engage the technical expertise.
If I might, I would just add that once the application is filed, we have these statutes, ORS 215, 275, which is an outright use with conditions, not a conditional use. So I am curious about opportunities to maybe adjust the specific alignment before it gets to the land use permit application. One, to avoid condemnation of private property, and the Pacific Corps has already started that process with the PUC. So is it possible to work collaboratively with Pacific Corps to avoid any taking of private property? Because again, once this specific route or alignment reaches the planning department, we have no choice but to either approve or deny. We can't say, can you move the line? it's a yes or a no. You meet these clear and objective standards or you don't. There might be some disagreement at the Pacific Corps and their staffing about that. But that's my understanding, and I've talked to both our in-house counsel, Dan Kearns, and another land use attorney who presented last week at the meeting that I mentioned, that the land use process is not the time to look at adjusting it. So the state's technical advisors, I would see them as helping us find a win-win situation. So it's a win for the county and the landowners and the co-op, as well as Pacific Corps, who apparently needs another transmission line to serve some load demands. So if the board agreed that not asking the state to appoint a committee, I think the applicant is perfectly capable of doing that, and we can prepare comments, but to submit a letter, either Matt or I could do it, to Director Benner and ask if we could have some technical support for county staff.
I mean, I think having picked,
Sorry, I just wanted to ask, as a representative for Pacific Corps, if when you're done with comments from Tamara, if I might also be able to.
Could you
provide
come
some
on up?
context. Yeah,
Yep.
I'd be happy to. Thank you.
Just state your name and.
Thank you. My name is Jocelyn Pease with McDowell Rackner Gibson. I'm an attorney representing Pacific Corps in their regulatory work in connection with this transmission line. I'm sorry for inserting myself, but I had, in following this discussion, had just wanted to clarify a few things. First, with respect to engagement with the Public Utility Commission and the possibility for seeking condemnation, I had wanted to clarify that process has not yet started. We're hoping to have this comment process play out, or at least understand which direction we're going. If it's a Pacific Corps-led process or an ODO-led process, before we engage with the PUC process. And I appreciate the idea of technical expertise from ODO being supportive, but I guess one thing I do want to make clear is that the fact that there is this additional notice and comment process afforded by this statute, ORS 469442, it doesn't change any of the standards that would otherwise apply. So it doesn't mean that we're importing any of the FSEC standards into this process, changing what the land use process would otherwise look like, or if we're needing condemnation, changing what that process would look like either. So this is sort of what I view as a limited question before you today as to whether it is ODO running this notice and comment process or the utility doing it. And then I would also add that in the event that there is engagement with ODO, that does end up adding costs to the project because there would be, per the statute, a reimbursement requirement there as well.
Any questions? No. Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
I think if we could reach out and say we would like technical assistance, but not a committee, I think that's where I'm at. It would be nice to have technical assistance, but it didn't really seem like ODO honestly wanted to be involved, and I'm not really sure how much help they're gonna be if they don't even want to be there.
So I'll make the motion to decline the involvement of Oregon Department of Energy for the public involvement.
A second.
Moved and second, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
And just to clarify, and thank you, I hope I presented that correctly, but it added a lot of value, so thank you for popping up here. So you would, I presume, support staff taking the lead on trying to get some technical support if we think we need that.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. I have to stay.
Second reading Second reading of adopted ordinance 2604 county adoption of city of ordinance transportation system.
Okay, 2026-04. This is the second reading for Morrow County to co-adopt the City of Boardman Transportation System Plan to apply to land development within the city urban growth boundary. It's our local file number ATSP 16226. If you recall, the first reading and the land use decision was made on April 1st, and the statute requires that we have a second reading, and that is today.
We already moved to approve this, so.
So do you need to make the other motion, the adoption of the ordinance?
I'll go ahead. I move to approve adopting ordinance 2026-04, which will adopt the City of Boardman Transportation System Plan.
Second.
Further discussion, all in
So
favor?
Preston has a comment.
Quick comment.
Oh,
I apologize. I just noticed something in the motion. The title is adopting ordinance 2026-04 in the agenda, but when I look at the ordinance number, it's 2026-05, and then on the, am I looking at this right?
No, there's another ordinance right after this.
Oh, geez, I apologize. I got confused and worried for a second.
No.
Disregard me. Go on with your motion. No issues. I apologize. I was
Since
worried
you
for a
brought something
second.
up, that's all we need for the motion. We don't need to read the title of it or anything.
Tamara, normally I recall in the past, we read these by title only. Is that a process we're not doing anymore, or maybe it's not? I don't remember when we read it. At least read the title. Maybe I'm mistaken.
I think the first time,
There's the first.
I think that we did read the title of it.
Unless Mr. Kern mentioned anything different, then I think we're fine then.
Okay, I think.
Just mentioning the
I'll go with
ordinance
that.
numbers.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is ORD 2026-04. Yeah.
And that's for the transportation system plan.
Yes.
Did you give a second on that?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Move the second one, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign, motion carried.
Thank you.
Okay.
What about zero?
Ordinance 2026-05.
Okay, same.
Adoption of the Morrow County Heritage Trail concept plan.
And so this ordinance again would be the second reading of an amendment, an update to the Chapter 9 recreation element, also known as Goal 8 and statewide planning goals, and adopting the Heritage Trail concept plan update as an appendix. Our local file number is AC-16326. I've asked Clint to come up in case you have any actions, and also to recognize him for a lot of the heavy lifting and project management of that. I think he hit the ground running when he started about a year and a half ago. Again, you signed the findings and approved the action on April 1st, and today is the second reading by title or ordinance number only.
I move to approve ordinance. Move to approve adopting ordinance 2026-05, updating Goal 8 recreation in the Morrow County Comprehensive Plan and adopting the Morrow County Heritage Trail Plan as an appendix.
Second.
Second, further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carried. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
The County Broadband Consortium resolution to disband, that's fine, since I'm on the disbanding committee. It's pretty straightforward. Just we're closing up shop. You got anything you want to say about that?
No, I think it spelled it out.
Yeah, it's
Could we speak a little louder for the folks in the back? Some of them are hard of hearing.
this is the resolution to disband the broadband committee because our work is done. And this was the ordinance that Nick Green sent. And it's the same one the port did, so pretty straightforward. Unless you got any questions, ask Jeff.
I'll move to adopt and sign resolution R 2026 09, authorizing the dissolution of the Morrow County Broadband Network Consortium, appointing dissolution managers and establishing a plan for liquidation.
I second.
Move in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all those, same sign, motion carried. Okay, next one up was our agreement on the Columbia River Enterprise Zone 3 within the city of influence. What this does is this expands Oregon's area of influence in Crest 3 up to include the CDA. And I think we have 3 documents in there on this, I believe. We got the original one from the city council requesting it. Then we got the next one is there somewhere in there. Is the next one is the CREZ board approved it. That should be signed. And then now is the one that comes to the county and the port. And because they're the sponsoring agencies, so they're the ones that actually do it. So you have a map there too that shows, Stephen made up for us. It shows where it's getting expanded to. We talked about this at Crest 3, so any questions about this? Anybody?
I don't know. So I move to approve and sign the intergovernmental agreement for the Columbia River Enterprise Zone 3 within a city area of influence, amendment number 3.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Okay, that concludes our business items. Do we have any correspondence? Commissioner reports. Yep, you got anything?
I don't think I have anything this time.
And nothing. Okay. I don't believe I have anything either. You got anything?
Yes, so Mike Gorman and I, to be clear, have had a good opening conversation with Brian Walsh at Emanate about, SIP discussions. Mike and I have taken sort of, the parties' baselines and are coming up with a multitude of options for the board to look at and say, hey, what are the pieces that we like, what do we don't like, et cetera. When would the board like to have a work session at the end, or an executive session to discuss that at the end of our next regularly scheduled meeting, or do you want to have a special meeting in between now and then? They want a deadline by the end of summer, but I think we can get there. So just curious what you guys think on that.
I think we can handle it special. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you think that we need one, then I'll be for that, but
I think
at this stage, probably the next one.
Okay, all right. So just wanted to update you guys on that.
Thank you.
Anything else to report?
No.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna call a 5-minute recess. When we come back, we're gonna go into executive session. So.
Thank you, Chair.
Being back to order, and now we are prepared to go into executive sessions under ORS 192-6602D to conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to carry out labor negotiations. Designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. No decisions may be made in executive session. At the end of the executive session, we'll return to open session and welcome the audience back into the room. Okay? Okay, we're out of executive session and back into a regular session. And there will be no action today. So anything else to become for the commission today? Call the meeting adjourned.